Alright, how you guys doing? Today we're going to do something a little fun. A lot of people have been getting to know us for our pickles at the farmer's market. We were getting pickles given to us. We're trying to figure out what to do with them. So today we're going to show you exactly what we've been doing with them. We've actually been making a dill, spicy dill, and bread and butter pickles. So this first episode you guys are going to see are the dill and the spicy dill. Alright? So we have just your standard pickling cucumbers. If you guys don't have any of the local stores will have them. They're a little bit more of the smaller, shorter ones, about 6 inches or so. Make sure they're kind of firm when you buy them. Just like any other cucumber, they will tend to get soft really quick. You can do this with your standard English cucumber that you find in any of the corner bins at the market. Just know that they're going to be a little bit more softer. And if that's okay with you, you're just making them for your personal use and that's how you like it, then that's great. So you see a whole bunch of cucumbers scattered here. I'm making a couple of different batches. We are using the Ball Home Canning book. Great book. It calls for 5 pint jars, this recipe. So each of these bowls, I have 13.5 cups of pickles already cut, or cucumbers. So I'm doing one for just dill and one for a spicy dill. Since I am going to double the batch, behind me I already have 8 cups of water boiling. Once that comes to a boil, I'm going to add in my sugar and my canning salt. The sugar, I'm going to have a 1.5 cups of sugar. And a 1.5 cups of sugar, and then as far as my canning salt, we're going to do 1 cup of canning salt. Once that all breaks down, we're also going to have our apple cider vinegar and our white vinegar. I'm doing a 3-to-1 ratio. The book calls for 4 cups of apple cider vinegar per batch. I'm doing a 3-to-1, so 3 cups of apple cider to 1 cup of white vinegar. I've tried this and it's kind of toned down the apple cider vinegar a little bit. So actually, since I'm doing a double batch, I'm actually going to be having a 6-to-2 ratio. And I'm going to go ahead and get that going in right now. All these liquids need to come to a boil. Remember, when doing any canning, you want to try to do stainless steel on everything. If you don't use stainless steel, you'll get some oxidation. Some of your vegetables will turn blue or something like that. We've done that before, obviously. It's not, a lot of times it's not bad. And just know that you are going to have discoloration if you are going to use a Teflon pot. I don't personally recommend it. Everything is stainless. So right now we're going to go ahead and let that come back to a boil. While that's boiling, we're going to check on our jars. They got to come to a boil for about 10 minutes. You want to make sure that they're sterilized. Put your lid back on. Alright, so we're going to hold off on that. So one of the things that they ask for is you're going to make a brine. And in your brine, they're going to ask for regular pickling spice. Doesn't matter what brand. I think we actually have like 2 brands mixed in this one. You also see here I got bay leaves. The Ball recipe calls for a bay leaf in each of your pint jars on the bottom, right? Because you're going to be adding mustard seed and some of the garlic and then the fresh dill. I eat pickles really fast. I don't want to forget there's a bay leaf in there, so I'm actually going to make the bay leaf part of my brine. We're going to make a small pouch with cheesecloth. Those of you who like the kitchen talk or the French talk, this is your sachet, as we like to call it back in the restaurant. So I'm just making a little pouch the best way I know how to make. You can make it if you got, we had butcher twine around here, so that's why you see me rolling it up like a burrito. Honestly, if you had your butcher twine, you just make a big old pouch and tie it with your twine, right? If you're going to be making pickles and stuff a lot, or you are doing a lot of canning, you can wash out your cheesecloth. This is just dry spices. So you can wash it out at the end of your use and get a couple uses out of it. I think I've used this cheesecloth for pickles. This is probably the third time. Yeah, you get that allspice, comes right back in your throat. Alright. So one thing we're going to try today, this is actually the second time we've tried this. They do have a pickle crisp. We do about 3/4 of a teaspoon when you're adding in your mustard seed. It seemed to work. Obviously we used regular pickling cucumbers as well. So the combination of the right cucumber and a little bit of the pickling crisp really made our batch of cucumbers, our pickles, turn out really good. And then as far as the spicy pickles that we're going to be doing, we're just using your standard red pepper flake. Alright, so getting the vinegar starting to get warmed back up again. Again, I'm making a double batch. I'm going to go ahead and throw in 1 cup of pickling salt. Mortensen makes a brand. Mrs. Wedges makes a brand. A lot of different brands out there. And then just regular granulated sugar. We're doing 1.5 cups. Remember, I'm doing a double batch. And then my sachet or my pouch is just going to go straight in there. I'm not even going to touch it. Okay, I'm going to give it just a quick little spin. Get some of the salt and sugar mixed up, kind of broken back up a little bit. Now we're going to go ahead and just cover that up and let it come to a boil. Alright, so now that our brine has boiled, I just pull the jars out. Remember, let your jars kind of boil for about 10 minutes. Sterilize them. I'm going to take my my bundle out, my little sachet out. Just going to put it to the side. And while all that was boiling, I went ahead and put my lids and my rings in some hot water. Kind of sterilize them also, and it does soften the rubber underneath the lids. Some of the new lids are a little bit better, but I still do that as my own personal precaution. So I did get a couple jars already preset, but I will show you what I'm doing. All I'm doing is dropping 1 clove of garlic in each, right? Nothing too fancy. I'm doing a sprig of dill in each one as well. That one looks like it's wearing a ghillie suit. Alright, there you go. And then, as I told you guys, we're trying the pickle crisp. Putting about 3/4 of a teaspoon in each one. That's in there. Your mustard seed. Put in a half a teaspoon. That one could use just a tad bit more. Any mustard seed's fine, doesn't matter what brand. These first 7 jars, I didn't put any pepper flakes in it, but just so you guys can see, if you want to add pepper flakes, I'm just doing a half a teaspoon. Alright. Nothing fancy here. Gives it a little bit of spice. I'm just using my hands now. That's why I always wear gloves. 1, because you're messing with pepper flakes and vinegar. You'll regret touching your eyes. 2, when I'm packing these in. You don't have to get too crazy packing them in. You want a 1/2 inch to the top. Trying to hurry up, our jars are starting to cool down. When you're trying to do this and be all perfect about it like I'm trying to do, jars tend to cool down fast. But that's about as simple as it gets. So no real magic when you see all those jars at the store. Obviously they got a fancy machine that's doing all of this. I only get paid in pickles. Probably have to steal some more pickles from my next batch. So the recipe called for 13.5 cups for 5 jars. The 13.5 cups of pickles, I actually got about 6.5 jars worth. I try to pack them in there the best that I can. I didn't want to smash anything in there. Honestly, there's always air gaps, right? That's why we debubble them at the end. Let me get some more pickles. See, if I had a big sponsor, that would have been a commercial break for you guys. But right now, you just have to deal with me making noise in the background. So having your headspace is important. As far as the cucumbers, you're going to see when you're trying to do your headspace, they are going to rise and drop, and you're gonna, as long as you know you have a 1/2 inch here, it'll be fine. Once you add your liquid in, they are gonna move around. And again, like I said, the importance of the headspace is once it's in the canner and it's doing a water bath, it's going to start to remove some of that oxygen out of the jars. That's why when you put your lids and rings on, you don't tighten the rings down. You want to give it a chance to remove some air. And then obviously as they are cooling off, that's when you start hearing that pop. Because now it's sucking it all back in. It's decompressing. And that's how you get those really, really tight seals. And yes, if you get in trouble with your wife, you can tighten those down too, and she'll have to talk to you. She'll need your help to get it off. Alright, so I'm at about almost 1 inch with my cucumbers here. I'm going to spread one more around each side. Kind of maximize some of my space here on the sides a little bit. The best that I can. much easier when other people are doing it. Alright, I think I'm good right now. Alright. That being said, grab your fancy funnel here. Let me get that out of my way. Now's the time to not get dirty. See if we can spread that around. Alright. Remember your brine, you want it to, after it comes to a boil, you want to let it simmer down for about 15 minutes. You don't want it to burn. And then we just start ladling everything in. Take your time kind of doing this. I mean, once you do this a couple times, you'll have a little system down. The hardest thing is not to splash the vinegar all over your jars. Once you do this a couple times, you'll start getting a guesstimate on where your ½ inch is at. Another thing I don't really tell you guys when you are canning, it's always good to open a window because your whole house is going to smell like vinegar. You definitely want some ventilation. I spilled that all over the place. Good thing for me. Getting a lot of practice doing pickles. Almost there, got 2 more left. Now we use just a regular filtered water you get like in little 5-gallon jugs at the grocery store. I use that for my canning the most because we have hard water here and I don't want to take the chance of any discoloration inside the jars. If we are using your tap water just in your water bath canner, you can always add a little bit of vinegar to it, a cap full or so. And that'll help keep some of the calcium breakdown on your jars. I didn't know that, somebody had told me that. Alright, just gonna double check my jar really quick. I want to say for the most part, we're at a ½ inch on everything. I think that's the first time I ever got a first time go. ahead and debubble them a little bit. Try to get some of those air pockets worked out. And you see if you pack them too much, what's happening to me now is that they're all starting to rise a little bit. So I'm just kind of using my finger to kind of keep them from splashing around all over the place. Hence another reason why you want to wear gloves. And that one moved pretty good. Now these little debubbler kits you can get in any of your stores. They have a little gauge on the end of it. It looks like a step of stairs. To your 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch. I'm trying to spill it on myself. It's okay if you spill a little bit. You're going to wipe all the rims of the jars down with some white vinegar. Some people just use warm water on a paper towel. I was taught to use vinegar to help kind of keep it sterile. It seemed to kind of work for me, so I just keep doing it. Alright, again, 2 more. That one had a lot of bubbles in it. There we go. We are almost there. Now we get to the fun part. I just say you're going to give the rims a quick wipe down. You don't want anything sticky on the rims, just in case a mustard seed came out or something like that. You want to make sure that nothing gets caught in between the lids and the glass. Now after you do this, because this is a pickle, it's got a lot of vinegar in it. This is a shelf stable item. There are recipes out there that are just like refrigerator pickles. Those are just fine too to stay in your refrigerator. Now obviously once you open these up, you put these in the refrigerator just like anything else when you buy from the market. So that's it. That's how it rolls. Alright. Grab a little magnet and just start putting lids on. I'm just kind of putting them in. Sometimes they will stick to each other. And you'll know that because obviously it'll come out stuck. Like that one. So you just call that 2 for the price of 1. Keep going. Alright. We made it. Now we can start putting our lids on. I'm just doing finger tight. So don't crank them down. Remember, you want to give that lid room to expand. inside your water bath. Yes, the water is hot. Sometimes I feel like they're going on crooked, but they're not. They look good. All right. We have our water boiling. Alright, so recipe calls for 15 minutes at our altitude. We have to add another 10, so we're at 25 minutes. But that 25 minutes starts when the water starts to boil again. So we're going to dump our jars in. We got a little bit of extra water in here. If you have a little bit of extra water, I'm not sure how that happened. So you want the jars to be covered no more than about an inch or so. That will create a depth for the jars to properly expand. At least I'll have some nice hot water so I can clean everything in. Alright, we're good. We survived overfilling canned water. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and let that come back to a boil. Alright, so don't start your clock until the water starts to boil again. Once that 25 minutes is done in our altitude, make sure you check the book for whatever altitude, how much time you need to add. I normally pull the jars up and let them sit for about 5 more minutes, kind of let them rest before you pull them back out again. You'll see the jars, they're coming to a boil inside of the glass. That's how you know that they're ready to go ahead and set out on a cooling rack or on a towel so they can cool. Alright, well I'll see you guys in about 25 minutes. Alright, now that our 25 minutes is complete, I'm going to let my jars sit for about 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and start just stacking them up. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see the water boiling inside. They actually look really, really good. You can see these are the ones with the red pepper flakes. I like this recipe, it's pretty easy. So the only adjustment that I made was where they called for 4 cups of apple cider vinegar. I just 3 cups of apple cider vinegar and 1 cup of white vinegar. Kind of like that. Kind of tones down the apple cider a little bit. But that's it. These are my jars. Now, They're screaming hot. We're going to let them sit overnight. As they start cooling, you'll start hearing the jar seal. It'll sound like popcorn. And if you like what you see, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. We got a couple other videos out there. Applesauce or freeze-dried goods. And stay tuned. Next time we are going to be doing jalapeno. We're going to do something a little bit different. Again, hit like, subscribe. Thank you for watching.